we still have our individual selves while we're together as well. But I don't feel like I'm constantly researching, trying to find the answer for myself anymore. I'm finding the answer here, right here with us. And it's easier for me to talk to her about when I'm feeling things. And I try not to judge myself when I'm feeling things, because I will on occasions go, God, I feel really stupid right now because this is what I'm feeling. But I'm trying to remind myself, no, wait a minute. If your friend was talking to you about this stuff, you would say, don't feel stupid. That's not, you're just being human. So I'm just trying to remind myself, that's just me being human.
Welcome to Normalizing Non-Monogamy, the podcast where we interview incredible people from all over the world to hear their personal journeys of self-discovery through the lenses of love, sex, and relationships.
Our mission is to show people that they're not alone and to inspire them to embrace their true selves so that together we can open minds and live authentically without shame.
We believe everyone's story is powerful and beautiful, yet it's important to remember that everyone does life a little bit differently and that the views and opinions expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect our own.
Additionally, we aren't doctors. Please consult a medical professional for anything regarding your health that you might learn about on the show. Enjoy!
Welcome to episode 395. We're Finn and Emma, and today we get to talk to Jenna and Wendi again and hear an update on their journey. We first talked to them 3.5 years ago, back in November of 2021 on episode 209, so it's been a little while.
There's definitely been some changes and updates to their story, but one thing that has not changed is the amount of laughter and joy that these two bring to the podcast and to their story. It's an incredible conversation, and I think one of my favorite parts about this is how these two really normalize non-monogamy by sort of not making it always a big deal. Even when things are tough, they seem to move through things with relative ease and sort of a levity that I just really enjoy and think is really beautiful.
A lot of compassion for themselves and for each other.
And for how hard this is, how hard it is for the people that they're doing this with. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Just really love this conversation and really grateful that we get to bring these two back on today to hear an update. So
thank you so much for coming on.
Wow, we're finishing my sentences. That was amazing. I just have to say it now from my side. Thank you, Jenna and Wendi, for coming back on, for being willing to share your story and the updates with us. So without much further ado, I think we should jump right into it.
For anyone who's a premium subscriber, we'll jump into the interview with Jenna and Wendi now. And for anyone else, we'll go through a couple of announcements. First up, if you're not familiar with our premium subscription, it's a way to skip these announcements up front, but don't worry, you still get important dates of upcoming events in the outro. To sign up for the premium subscription, go over to our website, normalizingnonmonogamy.com, scroll down on the homepage, and you can sign up right there for only $4 a month.
Next up, we want to tell you all about our community. If you're not familiar, we've got a community of over 300 people who come together from around the world on an app called Mighty Networks to socialize and support one another. We also host monthly Zoom calls, and earlier this year, we started doing monthly virtual workshops that are hosted by incredible educators from around the world. Our June workshop is coming up on June 25th, and it is hosted by Orit Krug, who you can go back and listen to on episodes 309 and 378. Links are in the show notes. Anyway, Orit's workshop is called Releasing the Fear of Abandonment Through Somatics. It's going to be incredible. We're super excited for it, and we would love to have you come check out our community, check out the workshops, and check out all of the incredible people who make it possible.
We also want to share that we do in-person retreats a couple times a year, and our next in-person retreat for the community is October 3rd to the 5th, 2025. Mark your calendars now, and it's going to be in the San Francisco Bay Area. So we'd love to have you come join us. Again, more information is over on our website, normalizingnonmonogamy.com. Click on the community tab, and there you can find out all the information about the retreats, the workshops, and the community in general.
We'd love to have you join us, so please go check it out.
Next up, we wanted to remind you all about our favorite way to get tested for STIs. It is called stdcheck.com. It is a service that Finn and I use. We've been using it for years. We've been telling you about it for years, so you're probably sick of us, but we're going to tell you about it one more time. It is a fast and efficient and discreet way to get tested for STIs. By using the links on the resources tab of our website, you can save $10, making a 10-panel test only $129. And best of all, you get to know your sex sexual health status, and you support the podcast. So thank you in advance for using those links, and thank you to anyone who has used those links in the past.
It just dawned on me as you're saying that not many people get to say they have a favorite way to get tested for STIs.
That's true.
Also, I think you might have lied when you said we're going to tell them about it one more time.
That's true. It's going to be multiple more times.
We'll tell you one more time next week, too.
Yeah, just get used to that.
All right. Last up, we just want to remind you all, please, we would love to hear from you. Send us an email, send us a voicemail. We'd love to have you come on the podcast to share your story. Jenna and Wendi, they reached out years ago, and here we are. We're like besties, pretty much.
Another version of their story.
Yeah.
Or another update, I should say.
That's right. So if you want to be like Jenna and Wendi, please reach out to us, come on the podcast. Or if you're not ready for that, you can send us your feedback or questions or feedback and questions. We'd love to hear from you. That's the whole point. You can find all of that information under the Contact Us tab of our website.
And with that, let's go and talk with Jenna and Wendi.
Well, welcome back to the podcast, Jenna and Wendi. We're excited to chat again. It's been 3.5 years since we did this, and we're excited to hear all the updates and just catch up with you two. So welcome back.
Yeah, we're excited to be here. Thanks
you
for having us on.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Thanks for taking a few minutes out of your evening.
Yeah.
We'd love for you to just start, since if anyone didn't listen to the last episode, introducing yourselves.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm Jenna. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the poly one.
And I'm Wendi. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the monogamous one.
Lovely. And for anybody who didn't...
Monogamous.
Monogamish. All right. We got updates. We got juicy updates.
That is true. That is a little.
Well, for anybody who missed episode 209, maybe just a quick trajectory of Jenna and Wendi up until fall of 2021. We were deep in a pandemic, but where were you two, and how did you sort of get there in a nutshell?
Let's see. Well, we'd known each other since 2008, so we had been friends for a long time. We started dating in 2016. We got married in 2018. Then we moved from Portland, Oregon to Rochester, New York in 2019. And that is about the time where she started feeling like she was ready to date other people. And that's when all of that from the podcast really, that was the beginning of my internal work that I needed to do around it. And yeah, it was a big growth period for both of us, for sure.
But we were friends before, and she knew that I was poly, so it wasn't like some big surprise that happened. Like, pandemic plus, guess what? Not only is it a pandemic, we might die, but I'm poly too.
Yeah. So you weren't coming in blind to the situation, Wendi.
Definitely not. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that I loved from our last conversation, and just for anybody listening, you don't need to go back and listen. We're gonna do this in a way that you don't have to. But you had talked. I mean, both of you had talked a lot about doing the work in quotes last time we talked,
Mm-hmm.
and even Wendi, you talked about doing reading and doing a lot of the research even before you had met Jenna, and I think. You touched on it right here too. You said, well, that was sort of the beginning of me doing this internal work. And I'd love to maybe even just starting there a little bit about what that looked like then and what it's looked like over the last few years of continuing on this path together.
Well, what it really boils down to for me is the amount of self-love that I have for myself, and the respect that I have for myself also, confidence, gosh, words are failing me. I'm also in menopause now, so there's that.
So fun.
That's a factor.
10.
Oh my God. Anyways, I feel like during that time when we talked before, that was really a very intense period of me trying to figure out how to be more confident in myself, more confident in our marriage, more secure in knowing that things were going to change around us, and all coming back to the amount of self-love that I had for myself and the work that I needed to do because of past relationships or growing up, being programmed as a monogamous person, all of those things. And I feel like now it's not so intense. It's still consistent,
Mhm.
but it's definitely not something that I have to do like every day, you know?
Yeah.
I don't have things that I need to write and rewrite and constantly remind myself anymore. I just keep coming back to always assume best intent and always assume that she's still right here with me, in this marriage.
But I also think that just what I've observed is that Wendi has become the main character in her life. And I don't think she really has traditionally been that. And it's really super hot and beautiful to see and inspiring. And yeah, so I think she's not that it was hard. Like, it wasn't hard before because she's always been amazing and she was never passive aggressive or, which we would not be here if she was. But, she struggled more and now she'll. Okay, so I had a sexual encounter with a guy, a cis guy, and that's not my norm. And we were at an event and I came back to our tent and I came in and she said, "Well, how was it?" And I was just like, scratchy. Really, he had a beard. It was very scratchy.
And we just laughed about it.
Yeah. And I didn't worry that she was gonna. I have less guilt. And also, I understand that when she has problems, I don't need to feel bad about it. But also, she has a bigger level of comfort in the fact that I'm not going anywhere. I mean, I am, but I'm coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we can laugh about making out with boys.
Yeah.
But I would probably have never done that if I wasn't poly, because I think people who aren't poly are in the mindset of, I'm going to find my person. And I would never be casting the net and the boys' end of the pool. But that doesn't mean there aren't some that are really a beautiful connection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or fun to make out with, or scratchy.
Or both. Could
Right?
be both.
Right. All of the above.
It was fun. And it was scratchy.
Yeah. I'm really curious too, kind of what can you describe kind of what non-monogamy looks like in your life at the moment?
Okay. Well, I date people and the way I approach that has changed, but I'm still doing things with other people that are things that are more than friends do. And Wen is still, she's not dating other people.
Mhm.
But if we're somewhere and something arises, like she's been involved with other people.
Just in that moment,
Yeah.
not anything that continues on.
Yeah.
Like, just has.
But it's been really cool. Like, I mean, I love that I think it's important to try things out because you don't know.
Yeah.
And of course, people think she's hot and want to be with her. And honestly, yeah, it doesn't, I don't feel threatened when people are hot for my wife. I'm like, yes, shoot your shot. Like, really, go for it because she's great.
But I think too, though, that the monogamy part or the non-monogamy part of it for you that I've noticed is that it's not something. Relationships, you don't want to have the big R's. You want to have just the connections. You don't want to be like having to put that much energy.
I don't.
Or
I realize I'm really allergic to expectations. Besides the ones that everyone should have, I expect that you will not lie to me. I expect you will be decent and, and that kind of thing. But, I expect to spend 1 week a month with you. I expect to have this. Like, that is just a big turnoff for me emotionally and sexually. And it's hard because before I was like, I'm not into hierarchy, but now I realize I'm totally down with hierarchy. It doesn't mean that my other lovers aren't amazing and important, but I think we've had situations where other people have not really been poly, they've just been doing poly and they haven't really respected us. And so I'm much more clear about, this is I'm married, this is my primary relationship. And so the person I'm dating now, when we first started dating, was also married, and she seemed really cool, and this seemed like the best situation I could come up with, because then there's not that pressure of, if I'm the only source of sex and excitement and love and that stuff in your life, then, and I don't have it to get. So, but then shortly after we started dating, actually, they and their partner separated. So it was a bummer, just because I think that's a great ideal for me. But they did come from that situation and knew that, I'm married, and that means something to me. Not in a, like, my pussy's only for her way, because it's mine and it's for me. I don't know. It feels fine. Just, I think more because just it kind of feels like it's been disrespected a little, so I'm a little more protective of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, which makes sense. And you answered the question I was going to ask about hierarchy and how if that has shifted over the last few years. And it sounds like overall not too much, other than maybe communicating it even more clearly.
Yeah. I mean, I think it just, so I am definitely have a big heart and can love multiple people. But the amount I want to actually do that versus the amount I can't, like, just because I can do it all the way doesn't mean I don't necessarily want all these really big relationships with big expectations. And, I want connection with people. And so I started dating my friends, and some of them I definitely am going to make out with, but most of them I'm just going to spend intentional time with. Yeah. And so I think I'm trying to figure out, am I just like demisexual, openish? Am I just a cock tease? Am I, am I poly, or am I like on the swinger side of poly? I mean, I definitely still don't like casual sex, but I don't think that being not casual means you have to be in love, and you just have to have this connection, because that's honestly what makes me hot for people, is the connection.
Yeah.
And that can happen in a short time span for a short period of time. And that is still a really beautiful connection. And so I think that's more what I'm trying to figure out, how to have that and not have people expecting a certain amount of my time. And I mean, also, I work and I have friends, and I've really learned, I'm trying to learn how to prioritize time for just me. So, but if I win the lottery, maybe I'd be more poly, or more on the poly end. I mean, I definitely have a loving relationship now, but I have had to redefine the expectations within that, and I've been really explicit about I don't want a title of girlfriend, even if that's essentially what's happening.
Yeah.
I just don't want that, because it feels a little bit like like a cage, and people shouldn't be in cages.
Yeah.
I mean, unless that's your kink, and then.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate you digging into it a little bit, and maybe just to kind of pick at it a little bit more, because this is a conversation that I'm sure if you've been on the internet looking at anything polyamory in the last few years, hierarchy is one of those red hot topics that is very polarizing. And I think what I'm hearing from you is, and that's not to say there is not definitely toxic hierarchy that can happen in the ways that people get treated. But what I'm hearing from you isn't, oh, well, if Wendi doesn't like this person, then she'll just tell me I can't go out, and then you're done.
Yeah,
and right. It sounds like it's much more about what you have in your energy tank to give out, and what you maybe used to have, you were giving more of, and now you're sort of like, well, I'm keeping more of it for me or more of it for this partnership, or just maybe it's my job, maybe it's, whatever else is going on in life. And then being able to communicate that to people and finding the right fits that aren't looking for, okay, well, we went on a date and then in a year I expect to be going on vacations. And in 2 years, I expect to be
spending holidays.
right. Like, yeah, everything has to escalate versus.
Yeah.
I'm kind of always down for a vacation right off the bat, though.
Yeah.
No holidays, but I love travel. But yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Well, and I think that's the beautiful part is we all get to define it, right? We all get to say when we show up at the first date or the fifth date and say, here's what I have to offer. Does it work for you? And if the other person's like, no, I'm looking for this, then you go, well, this was a nice dinner. Let's be friends, or let's figure out what we can do together.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And we definitely do have a hierarchy, but I feel like every time I've started to really start to have feelings of more than flirtation with someone, we start a conversation, Wendi and I, because I don't ever want it to be a surprise to her. And there comes a point of no return, so that there's no veto power. Certainly, I mean, if she came to me in the midst of a relationship and she absolutely was like, but I know she wouldn't do that if maybe she didn't see something nefarious happening or, me not being treated well. I don't like the person can veto, because honestly, it's happened to me. I've talked to people and not even gone on a date yet, but then, their girlfriend decides that they can't handle it. And so can't even be my friend. And yeah, we don't do that. But also, even though I don't have as big of a poly, like falling in love with a million people ideas, when I am with someone, if I'm doing more than just making out with you, it's going to be really intense and it's going to be really personal. And it's going to be a really beautiful connection. And I'm not going to be thinking, you're not my primary. I'm not going to be thinking about anyone else. I'm going to be right there, right then. And I hope, and I feel like, the people I've been lovers with can see that, because again, for me, it's all about the energy exchange. And I love to have that kind of energy with other people. I just don't always I don't want to text every single day.
Yeah. There's another expectation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it comes down to bandwidth too. Like we have 2 homes now.
And a really busy life.
And a really busy life and family living with us. So there's just not a whole lot of extra time.
Yeah.
I don't know. Now we have a lot of fun times, but we have a lot of really fun friends now. And
yeah,
I think that takes up a lot of the space for me that, I don't know, scratches some of those itches, right? I mean, definitely I do make out with some of my friends, but mostly I have this lovely group of people that I have really close relationships with, and it's different with each of them. And yet we're all friends together, and I feel like we've been really poly in that way in our like really super deep friendships. I mean, I also have lots of people I just have fun hanging out with.
Yeah.
Because you can only be deep friends with so many people. There's only so much time in the day.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and since we last talked to you guys, we fell into a friend group that really became very close-knit, very family-like. And then from there, it's just expanded. So we have lots of really close relationships within the Rochester area. And it's definitely been very different from West Coast friendships, for sure.
But
for me, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're almost all of them straight. Or here, air quotes, straight. Which is so funny because our West Coast friends are like, what are you doing hanging out with all of these straight people?
Yeah.
But they feel more
so many
queer
of you with straight
than really buttoned up East Coast lesbians.
Yeah, they're
can feel.
Our queerest friends are all of our straight friends.
Yeah. And then honestly, I will say probably a good 70% of them aren't completely straight.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Not that they all get down with but they have definitely.
Yeah, there's a lot of
red.
gray in there, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I really love gray, it turns out. Yeah. Yeah. So we have these great friends and we hang out with a lot of other people too, but then we have dance parties in people's basements where there's, 10 of us and it's amazing.
Yeah.
And some of them are lifestyle people, which is what swingers call themselves now, I found out. Which kind of sounds like a little bit of I don't know.
No judgments.
No, I think it's fine. I just think calling it lifestyle is like you're trying to sound fancy or something. Like you don't go to Target, you go to Target. Like you're not a swinger, you're lifestyle. Well, I'm a lifestyle. Yeah, it's just a different one. Right. But it's been interesting to talk and to have some more personal conversations with them about, because I'm a person, if we're going to be friends, I'm going to peel back the layers of your onion. And that's the joy of being your friend. And I'm going to ask questions about really specific things, not like how certain things feel. And we had friends who went on a lifestyle vacation thing and just asking afterwards, being around that many people who are there obviously for this event. So, did it feel transactional at all? And we just got to have a really great nuanced conversation about ways of connecting with people. And, so it's been great to have more love in our life and to see other people doing non-monogamy, even if they're not doing it the way we're doing it. And then also our friends who are still doing monogamy don't think we're weird, just like our straight friends don't think we're weird because we're queer.
Yeah.
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 It feels much more accepting. We still haven't told my mom, though.
No.
And she lives with us now.
It's not going to happen.
You know what? I decided I deserve my privacy.
Yeah.
I was going to ask that question, too, about who have you told other people?
Yeah, so my family knows. Everyone else, pretty much everyone else in our life. Well, her mom doesn't. And, our Republican relatives still don't know.
And your mom lives with you, but you have chosen not to tell her.
Yeah, she just goes away with friends on a weekend.
Well, and at first, when she first moved in, I was going to Disneyland. And then, I don't know, a few months later, I was going somewhere with the same person. And I had this it felt like very much like being 14. Do I lie? What kind of lie do I tell my mom? Should I have someone write a note for me? Just like, and I just thought, no, I just deserve my own privacy. And I can just say, I'm going away for the weekend. I hope you guys have a great time. And I've learned how to have boundaries and to place those boundaries before people even try to cross them by just being more firm in what I share. So,
and I think it helps too that I don't act differently while she's gone, and like I still take her mom to places. We go grocery shopping. We go work out in the yard together, and it's just another day. Yeah. And I think for her to see that.
Yeah, not Wendy's sitting at home crying, like tearing her clothes and putting ashes on her head. Because I think that's how monogamous people think it is for her.
No, I just go about
although
my day.
She does sometimes go do things herself, like go on a dog sit or something by herself, because then she gets to have her introvert heaven with dogs and no people talking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I did do that actually over the holidays this past December. I dog sat for a week, I think it was.
Also, and then maybe it doesn't look to my mom like I'm the only one having fun.
Right.
Like I'm the only one who gets to go away and do things while Wendy gets to mow lawn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just need to go away on my own and have my own time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And that's one of the things that really stuck out to me the last time we talked is sort of the way that you two, I mean, there's definitely no shortage of love, laughter, fun. You two are clearly best friends, but you also have a lot of independence where the way you described it earlier of like you're each your own main character in your life.
Yeah.
And I think that's just such a beautiful way to sum it up. Like we can be our own main character and still star in somebody else's movie, right? Like we can do both of those. And I love how you two, right? You can go on vacation with other people. You can go on vacation with yourself and some dogs. Like, and you're both getting what you need to keep coming back and nurturing your relationship.
Yes. It's so important to be your individual self and do the things that feed you.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like everyone, we certainly in America, have been force-fed this lie from romantic comedies. And, and the guy with the boombox, people doing dramatic gestures, not actually respecting people's boundaries, but, I remember once when I broke up with a boyfriend in high school, ripping off this necklace and throwing it because I feel like I saw that in a movie, right? And I think a lot of people act in ways and they behave in ways, well, this isn't how it is in all these love movies. And so this isn't love, but it turns out it's so much more love. And ripping your necklace off really hurts. I don't recommend it.
You don't think about that part.
Still have the scars.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also I think we had a little bit of a boombox moment with someone.
Oh.
And not in the lovely way of that movie, but in the way that I think this person had watched that and didn't take my no for a no and drove 5 hours and showed up at my house in the middle of the night when we were on vacation. Okay, it was the last night of our vacation. We were having last night of vacation sex. Right. Not only that, but I had a Cialis from my friend. And I promise I don't work for that company, but it makes blood flow. Things were great. It was really exciting. And then my phone starts ringing and it's my son, but I'm not going to answer it. But then it keeps happening and he's at our house. And I think, well,
now
it could be on fire. And then it turns out someone had shown up and driven that way all that far. And at first it scared me in a safety way.
Yeah.
Big time. And I was really freaked out. And then the more I got to think about it, and then if you're learning how love is supposed to look and you watch all these bullshit movies of people interrupting weddings or I don't know, just
the grand gesture.
People not actually feeling their feelings and being honest about them because maybe that wouldn't be that exciting to watch. But I mean,
yeah,
but it's the reality.
It's way more exciting than being mad and having a big misunderstanding and then doing some dramatic event. Don't get me wrong, I like flowers, but I would rather just have them all the time, not just if we've been upset with each other.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things in this that, our culture has so many terrible messages around relationships and love. Not that non-monogamy is the way. That's definitely not the answer either. But like you said, respecting people's boundaries, understanding when they say no, that or hey, I like you as a friend. Like, okay, well, can we be friends and not constantly trying to push for more and see how I can subvert the system, right? But that's what we're shown. Oh, well, if you just do a grand enough gesture, if you just, if you punch the guy in the face and you're the more macho one, then you're going to get the girl, right? And it's just so fucked up what we get fed.
Yeah. Turns out neither one of them would get me.
Yeah.
No.
I have a question are we even allowed to ask you questions? It's like with the psychologist, like, can I ask you questions? But I feel like people probably don't ask you questions. And I'm wondering, one of the things I've been working on is learning how to know what I actually want and not just, wanting something because I'm not supposed to or because I think I should. But then also communicating. Like, how do you communicate with someone who you might really like and care about that you don't want to make out with them necessarily? I mean, or you might want to make out with them, but you don't want to do more than that. How do you navigate that and not feel like you're hurting people's feelings?
Oh, I don't know if there's a way around that.
I was going to say, you had me until the last part of your question. Because I think that's the hardest part is really the to me, the answer is, you're gonna probably hurt somebody's feelings, or you're gonna at least disappoint them, right? I know when I'm interested in that with somebody and they don't want it, like there is disappointment. And I think to me, it's how we communicate it.
Mm-hmm.
And
so do you tell them? Do you just tell them, or do you do you want to hang out thing when you're interested in someone? You know what I mean? I feel like people now don't say, I want to be your lover. I've had that said to me, and I'll tell you what, it worked. Just someone declaring that, I'm going to probably give them a chance. I mean, not now, because I just said this and people hear it. So it's not going to work now, but.
It would have worked had you not put it out there.
Yeah. It did work before.
Yeah. I mean, how do
you guys do that?
I think direct communication is the best, and it's also really hard. It can be really hard. So I think as often as I can, I strive to be as direct as I can in a kind way. And I mean, what is it? Is it just direct as kind? Clear as kind? That's what it is. Clear as kind.
Yes. And you're right. What it is.
Yeah. And it is.
It's to me so long as not kind.
It's just hard at times. But I think really that's the best way to really communicate, is to be clear and direct, and be do work on yourself to be okay, and as much as you can, with your disappointment or somebody else's disappointment. No one's going to die from being disappointed, but it's still hard.
Yeah. Well, and also I think because I'm demisexual, I've had friends I've been friends with for years and only just now realized, oh, actually. I mean, I could see they were really good looking before, but I didn't feel the tug of attraction. Mm-hmm. And now I do. And so, it's hard because it doesn't mean never, but also I'm demi and I never know when I'm going to feel that for someone. And mostly I can't spread myself too thin.
Yeah.
But I can make out with a lot more people.
And that's okay. You can communicate exactly that. Your capacity.
I really want to cuddle with you, but I'm not ready for more than that. But cuddling with you, it's more than just cuddling with, a stuffed animal, right? It's I feel like people, I think because people can have sex more readily and there's not this big stigma, like back in the day about it, that people think, I feel a connection, that's what needs to happen. And there's so many other beautiful ways to connect with people that are really intimate. And cuddling with someone and, playing with their hair while you watch a movie or something, that's really beautiful and lovely.
Right.
And I think I like intimacy in many forms. Mm-hmm. And I don't want everyone inside of me.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But some I really do.
Yeah. I think to me, that's sort of the beauty of all of this. And it is in the nuance, and it's in I think that is also what makes the communication both so important and tricky and vulnerable, right? To say, hey, I'd really love to cuddle with you tonight while we watch this movie. And right, again, back to these movies that we all grew up watching. Okay, well, if we're cuddling, then we're probably going to make out, and then we're going to do this and we're going to do this. And, and it means something more versus, no, we just. It has to be an escalator versus, oh, no, I love to cuddle and I'd love to cuddle with you. And, to have friends where all we do is get together and cuddle, or maybe there's friends, it's no different than, will we have, perhaps a friend where all we do, thinking back to the lifestyle, right? The swinging lifestyle, there's people who all they do is get together and have sex, and cuddling isn't even allowed, right? We've talked to couples where it's don't cuddle with them. You can have sex with them all night long, but don't cuddle and don't go on a date. And so I think it's just about how we define it and communicate it. And then I think the hardest part is being okay when somebody says, well, that's not really what I want. And not going, well, let's just try something anyway because we're both here and we wanted something.
Yeah.
So, and I say all this like it's super easy. I struggle with this all the time. Like it's awkward, it's uncomfortable. You're stammering and stuttering. Like I don't know, no. What do you like? So,
Well,
Yeah.
and it could also be helpful, like when you're setting the expectations too of like, what are some of the interests around tonight and what are some of the boundaries tonight? Like before
Yeah.
at the beginning of the evening, kind of like, this is what I'm interested in. Are we aligned in that? What are your boundaries? What are my boundaries?
Yeah.
Even around cuddling, just like that
Yeah.
is feels like to me a good way to kind of like set the stage and set expectations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to a consent workshop and it was pivotal for me. And just, they had us do this practice of, you paired up with someone and you had to say something, you had to say yes to everything they asked you.
Mhm.
And no matter what you felt. And then you could feel in your body how that felt when you were saying yes to things that, you would not do. And then saying no to everything and just really learning how to listen to myself has been really great.
yeah, I think one of the other things that I often recommend to people is having the conversation about what does this mean, right? If we cuddle, what does that mean for you? What are your expectations, right? If we have sex tonight, what does that mean to you? What are you expecting tomorrow and the next day, right? And that to me is really one of the most important conversations to have. I actually, in doing this, that I have that conversation before I even talk about sexual health, STIs, any of that. It's, if we're even going to talk about doing this, I need to understand what this means for you, and you need to understand what it means for me, so we don't wake up tomorrow and you're like, well, why didn't you text me, asshole? And it's like, well, because
Yeah.
Yeah.
or why I've been texting you all day long and you don't even care about me, right? Or whatever
Yeah.
it is. So understanding what we're doing before we do it is what I find to be one of the most important conversations.
Definitely.
I think there need to be more people like you out there. I mean, I think that's right. But I do honestly, I think that having these kinds of conversations with people, and it doesn't even have to be around sex, it could be about anything.
Yes.
Exactly. Yep.
But I did love what you said about the expectation of things going further, and does cuddling to you mean, like it did in high school, like we're going to cuddle and then I'm going to put my hand here and, because I had last year, I had this friend who I had always felt an attraction with, but never done anything about. And we were in the same place at a really great time together and we made out and it was so great and lovely and fun and hot. And at one point he said, "This is the most no pressure, amazing makeout." And it's true. I actually really love that. Because then I can really, also I feel like people don't make out enough. People fuck now. And don't get me wrong, I like fucking, but there are so many other things that are really amazing. And I kind of I'm a little bit of a pleasure delayer, right? So if I ever do make it with this friend, which could happen, it's going to have built up for so long that it's going to be the best.
Yep.
Or the best it can be between us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
So, yeah, I don't like escalators.
Nope.
Yeah.
Or expectations or rules.
There you go. Yeah. It's really been the lesson of the last 3.5 years, I think.
And also I think it's important, especially like I am seeing someone and even though we're not doing a relationship with a capital R, essentially we are in a relationship. And I think I've been working really hard about communicating what I'm going through and trying to figure out. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised we've stayed together because things have changed. But it's been really great. And sometimes you don't know. You might say, this is what this feels like, or this is what I want.
Yep.
But then you realize, oh, wait, I actually did expect you to text me the next day, or, or I expect that this will repeat.
Yep.
And so I've been really good about communicating my own personal issues about expectations. And so they're really good about literally every time before we get together telling me listen, there are no expectations. And I really feel that. And that frees me up to be sexy when I want to be sexy with them, but also to not feel like I have to be sexy all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I love that. And I think what you also touched on something in there that I think is really important, which is we can go in having no expectations or very low expectations, and you can still, I know we keep saying wake up the next day. It's not that everybody wakes up the next day together, but hypothetically, right? You wake up the next day and there is an expectation, or there is that feeling of, oh, this is a bummer. Oh, I'm feeling something. And also being able to communicate that, right? That doesn't mean that we have to just
be feelingless.
Yeah, you can't have feelings or emotions.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
For me, Polly's all about the feelings and about the connection. And I think, to me, that's what makes Polly different than lifestyle. Like you were saying, some people can't, there's rules you're not supposed to cuddle. And I think that's great if I just come at it from the complete opposite side.
Yeah.
I want the connection. I also want a lot of freaky fun sex, but with people I'm really connected to. Because otherwise, for me, it becomes like an exercise or a performance that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then it, yeah, I mean, also, I have so much great sex at home. I'm not going to waste my time. Like, honestly, and it's sometimes really hot when we go out and stuff. And she's been watching me cock tease 5 different men and women all night and then takes me back and takes me. I mean, we don't hate that. I mean, it's not like I'm not a lead you on. I feel like it's pretty clear I'm a cock tease. So nobody's thinking I'm in love with them when I'm flirting with them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I actually, it kind of feeds into a question I'm curious about, and it was sort of touching on the conversation way back around now. Wendy, you've had some, we'll call them situational adventures and experiences, and I'm curious about what that's been like for the two of you. I know we joked about it last episode around Jenna being like, no, it's gonna be bullshit if she does. I'm not okay with it, right? And doesn't seem like that's the case. But I'm curious, like, how did it actually go? And also on your side, Wendy, like, what was that like? Did you feel any of the guilt and the different things that Jenna has talked about a little bit experiencing?
No, I didn't. It doesn't, for me, at least that particular situation, she laughs when I say this, but it just felt like I was helping out a friend.
She said, no. Okay, so this is what happened. Something happened, and I did have feelings about it a little bit, which I'll talk about later. But anyway, things happened, and then the next day, we're in the car, and I said, listen, because it was a surprise. I mean, she told me before it happened, but it was, we didn't go into the night thinking this was going to happen.
No.
I said, I'm really curious. How do you feel about that? What was that like for you? Because that's probably not something you expected. And I also know her, and I said, listen, you don't have to answer me now or ever, but I would love for you to think about it. And if you have thoughts about it, let's revisit in a few days. So then I asked her a few days later, and I was like, how did it feel? Like, was it hot? Was it this? Was it that? And she said, I just feel like I was being really helpful. And then I had this whole fantasy of her being helpful with all of my friends and just how helpful my hot butch wife is. She's got a tool belt, and she can fix your refrigerator, and then she can fuck you real well and treat you nice. And yeah. It was the most Wendy thing though to say.
Very me to say.
But yes. I do think she's is much more able to feel attracted to other people. She doesn't necessarily always do something about it, but I don't think she feels guilty or weird if somebody's flirting with her, if she's flirting with someone else.
No, I definitely don't. I don't see it when people are flirting with me. I'm oblivious. She'll, later on say, well, what was happening? Okay.
I don't know.
But, yeah, I think for me, it's a little bit easier for those situational times
Mhm.
because I don't, like I said before, I just don't have the bandwidth to mentally and emotionally to go any deeper than the real friendship that I have with those people.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's already pretty deep. Like
Yeah.
they're we consider them family. So
But like
that's really
family you
important to
might
me.
fuck.
Well, I mean, we have parties and we have good times, is So but it felt, I think for me, maybe the next day it felt a little strange just because it's not something I've ever done before.
Yeah.
e- With her or in any other relationship. And it's all of the programming coming up saying, oh, I should feel really guilty. I shouldn't have done that. Or she should have been involved somehow. And, that would have made it better or okay. And it's not that it wasn't okay. It's just that that's what happened. And
Yeah.
it didn't change anything about us. And
she told me before.
yeah. And
I just didn't know what was going to happen that night.
Yeah, I didn't know either.
And then she was gone. And then she was back. And then later I was like, oh, like I'm always going on side quests. So I didn't realize her side quest was that. And so that's the only thing I was thinking about when I was saying I had feelings about it. I don't know. Maybe it was better that I didn't know. I don't know. It was just, I was surprised. We definitely talked about it. She said, this was a conversation. I'm like, go for it. And I just didn't know go for it meant in 20 minutes.
That's just what happened.
But no. And then I did have a lot of thinking to do about how do I feel about it. And it was so much better than I thought I would feel, or less bad. You know what I mean? I definitely had a couple moments of, the programming that happens from those terrible movies. But then I was just like, I feel so sure and so confident in us. And I feel so sexy and wanted by her that I'm not worried. I think the fear for a lot of people is someone's going to be better than you and replace you. And I'm irreplaceable.
It's true. It is true.
And so is she. And I only want to be in a, partnership with someone who feels that way. And if we don't, doesn't mean it's a failure. It just means, there's different ways of connecting. But and then it just kind of was, then the whole hot thing about it. Because a lot of my friends honestly do think she's really hot. And even people who are straight, they're like, but you're white. Because she is physically hot. And she has definitely been more displaying confidence in the world. And, and being at a party and just wearing a vest that's kind of unbuttoned and no bra, no shirt. And that's a big thing for her. But I mean, I feel like everyone in the world should get to benefit from seeing her amazing body. So, and just seeing her be like that and just be comfortable being a sexual being in the world, even if she's not doing sexual things with other people. And we've also, had things happen around other people. Like we've just been together, but I'm not thinking, oh, I shouldn't climb on top of her. And I just do it. And yeah. So, I don't know. It's all gotten hotter here, which is amazing because I am having perimenopause, and you would think that things would not be as great. And I will say we don't have sex 6 days a week like we used to, but I have had the biggest orgasm of my life at least 5 times in the last 6 months. And it keeps getting bigger, and I didn't know it could. And I really don't have expectations for bigger, but it keeps happening. And I don't know if it's because I shed my last fuck last year at my birthday, or my body is making up for the fact that I have arthritis in my finger now. But it just keeps getting better.
But I feel like that's the benefit of getting older too. You're not, it's not that you're not caring, it's that you're not in your head so much about things that, as my younger self would have been in my head about. And
Yeah, and
I
I'm not feeling guilty.
yeah. And also too, in that situation that we were just talking about, the thing that always stops me really is, how am I going to feel the next day when I'm just casually talking with this person?
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to feel awkward? Are we still going to have a friendship?
And
Like, are things going to go off the rails? And no, it absolutely has not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I love that you bring that back around, Wendy, because I think it could be easy, I think, for somebody to hear, oh, I was helping out a friend, and for them to go to a place of like, I know you didn't say this, but like pity fuck, right? Like, oh, I just did this, but
Not at all.
I heard something so different. I heard like we came to the table, we had a conversation, and we co-created an experience out of a friendship, and like that's the level of friendship we have.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean it's going to happen all the time.
No.
Or ever again, or it could happen frequently, but it's
No
been really nice.
expectations.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it has, but you know how people say no expectations, but really they have a whole bucket list of expectations.
Yes.
It really no expectations. And it's been really great.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm curious, Wendy, at the beginning you had said that this is overall, like, you still have pings, but it's gotten easier for you.
Yeah.
And can you expand on that a little bit of like just how it feels easier, or maybe what are some of the things you are still bumping up against?
I actually love that, because I feel like when I thought of a similar question, because when you talked last time, it seemed effortless. The way that you talked about it in our last one, I was like, to hear you say, "Oh, it's easier now," I was like, "Well, it seemed pretty easy back then." So I'm actually really curious about this too.
Well, I mean, it was. I think I had more struggles when she was away in the past, and I feel now it's easier in the sense that, sure, I still struggle on occasion, but I fill my time while she's gone with things that I may not necessarily do while she's home, or things that I just feel like doing that day.
But you also do more of that every day too.
I do
And
more of that every day, and we still have our individual selves while we're together as well. But I don't feel like I'm constantly researching, trying to find the answer for myself anymore. I'm finding the answer right here with us. And it's easier for me to talk to her about when I'm feeling things. And I try not to judge myself when I'm feeling things, because I will on occasion go, God, I feel really stupid right now because this is what I'm feeling. But I'm trying to remind myself, no, wait a minute. If your friend was talking to you about this stuff, you would say, don't feel stupid. That's not, you're just being human. So I'm just trying to remind myself, that's just me being human.
Mm-hmm.
And when I have those times when I'm struggling, then I'll sit down and journal for a second, and I'll figure out what's actually going on. And it's usually nothing to do with her being gone or her being with someone else. It has everything to do with where my head is in that moment. And usually it's, my head can go to dark places. And that's just from a mental health perspective. It has nothing to do with the situation with us. It's just my own inner demons, coming up. So,
well, I also think, when you learn another language and at first you're translating everything in your head. So I think before, she was definitely on board, but she was definitely still really conscious of she's doing the work. Great about not making me feel bad about the fact that she's having to do the work. But now she's not always having to do the work. She's kind of done a lot of the work. Right. And it doesn't mean that it's always effortless for her, but she doesn't have to translate everything in her head first.
Yeah, it's more of an automatic shift in my thinking that I don't have to put so much effort into it anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. And I love that it's gotten to that place. And I think for so many people who are doing the work and working on themselves every single day, that like it does often get easier with time.
Yeah, it does. It becomes more of a instantaneous reaction instead of, the opposite of, the less positive aspect of it.
Yeah.
It's not having the reaction and then having to work through it. It's just not having the reaction.
It's just not having the reaction. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just bringing yourself to what is actually factual in the situation that is happening.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I love that. And I love too, I mean, you touched on it here and in the last time we talked just about how you feel the time when you're apart, right? And that, when Jenna's off maybe for a weekend, right, that you're doing things for you that you want to do. And I know we hear from people often on this where, it's like, okay, my partner's away for the first time. I'm, having a hard time. What do I do? They're overnight for the first time. And a lot of times you'll hear advice of like, well, distract yourself as hard as you can, or get, get drunk or get high, like do something to numb out and forget about it. And I love hearing you be like, I'm just going to go and be more me. I'm going to do things that feed me and show me that I am, again, I am the main character in my life, and I'm going to live the hell out of my life. And then when Jenna comes home, we're going to come back together, both rejuvenated as us, and then pick up where we left off.
Yeah. Because we're more solid in ourselves too.
Yeah.
And I think that makes the relationship more solid.
Well, the thing is that I definitely think we were before, but I think hopefully that's the trajectory of your life is 10 years from now, we're going to be more solid. Even if we're already pretty greatly solid and I did shed my last fuck, I'm going to realize that I had even more fucks to shed. Or, I think I'm really interested in being friends with and being in a relationship with people who are not like I'm always trying to be my best self and those like I have 2,500 self-help books on my shelf people, but just really thinking every day about this is your one life, at least the one you remember. What do you want? And being your most authentic self in the world. That's the sexiest thing in the world to me.
Yeah. And I in dealing with that question, if your partner's going away for the first time, what do I do with myself? I don't recommend the distractions. I really don't. Feel your feelings because they're valid, but make sure that you're communicating them with your partner in a way that is kind and not, this is how you're making me feel. It's, this is how I'm feeling right now. Let's talk this through, or, in a more kind way, I think it's important. But I highly recommend not distracting yourself.
Yeah.
Finding something to do that makes you happy.
Well, and then one time we were away, I was away recently, and she said while I was away that she listened to the episode of our podcast with you guys. And we hadn't listened to that, since it came out.
Years,
and I just thought that was really sweet. Just like leaving each other notes and sexy pictures on our camera. We're still doing all those things.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I love that. I also love too, Jenna, what you said about, right, that you don't want to have to be the person with an entire bookshelf full of self-help books and that all day, every day is work. I have to be better, right? Let's also enjoy this, right?
Yes.
Oh my God, you did China. Don't save it. My dad had a package of socks that he hadn't opened in his drawer when he died. And because he was saving it till his other socks absolutely wore out. And I just think, no, like,
open the package.
Do it now. Enjoy it now.
Yeah.
And also it's a little bit of a difficult time to be an American. And so I think finding all the joy we can find, that is my resistance. And that is my revolution, is finding joy and connection with people. or myself or
Yeah, I love that. Thank you both for such a wonderful conversation tonight. And
thank you.
for coming back and giving us an update after 3.5 years and just sharing everything you did. I'm curious, before we let you go, is there anything else you wanted to get out there tonight?
Yeah, so we were listening to your last podcast, and you said at the end we have this blooper thing.
Yes!
And I like a deer and the headlights, and we just listened to it before this, and then I was like, oh shit, what are we gonna say? And she immediately had something.
We stayed in a hotel last night because we needed to be in Bend today in the afternoon after we worked. And we watched a bunch of shows on the television, and then we got up and took a shower, and she got out of the shower before I did, and she was laying down in the bed with her eyes closed. And I just came out of the bathroom, and
But
I
I was
looked at her and I
like
said-
deep breathing too.
She was like doing like a meditation. Just
No,
you know.
no, tell what you thought.
So I stopped and I looked at her and I said, "Are you pretending to be asleep?"
Which was hilarious. I was
Wait, where did that come from?
I was having an anxiety attack and I was trying to do all those things they say on the app to do. But that immediately brought me out of the anxiety attack because it was hilarious. Am I faking to be asleep? I would be better at it than that. I'd toss and turn a little.
I love that. That actually spurs a funny inside joke that we have where well sometimes when we're laying together, like cuddling, we'll do the pretend to sleep thing.
Or you're jerking.
But we do like we've worked in like the hypnic jerk, like a little bit of like and then if the person doesn't like acknowledge it, it gets like more and more exaggerated until it's just like out of control.
I love it.
You will acknowledge that I am sleeping here. You will acknowledge my fake sleep.
Yeah. Say something.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Wow. I love this conversation.
And thank you for adding the blooper.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm sure we have more that I've forgotten. But.
Well, our part 3 will be all bloopers. The Jenna and Wendi blooper episode.
I'll start a note in my phone.
There you go. And when you've got it compiled, we'll bring you back on and we'll crush it. All right. Well, thank you again for coming back on and for coming on the first time and just for sharing your life with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys for doing what you do. This is so appreciated.
Yeah, honestly, it's a service to the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate you guys being, like doing this and being so awesome.
Well, thank you.
Likewise.
Want to cuddle?
Yeah.
I know.
Well, we got to talk about what it means first.
Yeah.
All right. Well, have a lovely night, and we will talk soon.
You too. Okay, bye.
And we're back. Thank you again, Jenna and Wendi, for coming on a second time, sharing an update with all of us. It was a joy to talk with you, and we're excited to get this episode out there.
Yes. Thank you from my side as well. Thank you for the laughs, and thank you for being your amazing selves. We can't wait for part 3.
A couple of quick upcoming dates we wanted to remind all of you about. Our next workshop for our community is coming up June 25th with Orit Krug. You can find out more over on our website by clicking on the community tab. That workshop name, by the way, is Releasing the Fear of Abandonment, a Somatics Approach. Again, June 25th, 2025. The other dates we wanted to tell you about are our next in-person retreat for our community is coming up October 3rd to the 5th, 2025. Mark your calendars in the San Francisco Bay Area and come join us.
And next week, you wouldn't believe it, we've got another interview for you. We're talking with Johnny. It is a fantastic conversation, and we cannot wait to get to you next week. So we'll see you then.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening.